Hello. This is a video letter to Ryan Walters, the State School Superintendent of Oklahoma, and to congregations who support the ideals of the National Christian Church. And it's regarding the memo to place Bibles and teach Scripture in public schools, grades 5 and up. And I know I am from Michigan, but I also know that there is a movement. If something succeeds in one state, it may begin to affect what happens in my state. So, dear Mr. Walters, if I was to draw a picture of a church, you would find me sitting toward the front on the left side of the aisle, close to the center. You would be sitting in the front row all the way to the right near the windows. While we are in this room together, I want to address your claims about Christianity and its role in the history of our fine nation. And I want you to think deeply about the effects of bringing mandatory Bible teaching into the public school setting. I wonder what will happen when curious fifth graders begin reading about the incestual rape of Lot or the rape of King David's daughter by her brother, and David's inability to be a father who seeks justice for her, leading to a split in the kingdom. Maybe they will delve into awesome stories in the book of Judges, which includes the story of a heroic leader who throws his concubine to the enemy and then sends her dismembered body parts to the various tribes of Israel, all to start a war. And trust me, this is the stuff that teenagers love. The Bible is meant to be digested over time, and I don't mean fifth grade through high school. In many conversations, it's supposed to happen in many conversations with a diverse group of people who will experience biblical stories differently through their own life experiences. In reading the Bible, there needs to be the freedom to doubt and to question. Oh, am I sounding like someone who subscribes to critical thinking? Yeah. This is how my Christian faith has developed and deepened and continues to do so. Faith and morality don't grow because someone feeds absolute pablum to children or adults. Our teachers are not seminary trained, and while some may be natural theologians, why are we taking time away from teaching what the children will need to live in this world? How to read, how to write, and how to apply math and science in daily living. Mr. Walters, you have stated that the Bible needs to be taught in the public school because our nation was founded on the principles of the Bible. You know, it makes sense that the pervading context of a culture that comes in plays a role in how a community or country forms itself and lives out its life. So let's take a closer look at a couple of our founding fathers' belief system. Thomas Jefferson created his own book of Gospels by taking out all the miracle stories of Jesus. He was a deist, someone who believes that God created the world and then just kind of lets things happen. And Jesus is definitely not divine. Ben Franklin wrote to the president of Yale College when he was asked about his faith. He says, "As to Jesus of Nazareth, my opinion of whom you particularly desire, I think his system of morals and his religion as he left them to us, the best the world ever saw or is likely to see. But I apprehend it has received various corrupt affecting changes, and I have, with the most of the present dissenters in England, some doubts as to his divinity, though it is a question I do not dogmatize upon, having never studied it, and think it needless to busy myself with it now when I expect soon an opportunity of knowing the truth with less trouble. And I believe he was 84 at the time of that writing. This Christian nation, as you would call us, took Scripture out of context, twisting it to give permission to participate in the enslavement of one group of people and to break treaties with another group of people who had been here long before we came. It provided excuses for corporate owners to take advantage of their laborers. It gave congregations excuses to disavow their brothers and sisters in other faith communities, including Christian. Like Satan, using Scripture to woo Jesus into putting himself before God during that famous temptation in the wilderness story, I fear that making Bible study in public schools mandatory with a study plan approved by a right of the church aisle leaning school board will not be an honest approach. If perchance the desire is to teach morality, then, by all means. For high school students, have an elective that brings in wisdom from the text or oral teachings of variety of faith traditions. African parables, Greek mythology, the teachings of Buddha, Taoism, Native American creation stories, and so on. But let our young people learn how to read, write, and apply math and science. Then let them, because we Christians believe in free will, choose what to learn as they get older. As far as the elementary school students, Aesop's fables do very well in teaching morality. I'm going to end with this quote from Mark Twain, and I apologize for the language regarding gender or immigrants who have come to our country. He's speaking from his heart, but he's speaking using the language of his time. Mark Twain said, and he is a Christian. Maybe sometimes. Patriotism is a high and holy thing. It will remain a high and holy thing, and jointly admirable and praiseworthy. Christianity will never change it. It is a noble doctrine of universal brotherhood, is for the angels, if for anybody. It is not possible for men. Christianity cannot teach a fish to fly, nor aliens to love each other. We cannot even imagine a heaven where there are no frontiers, where all are foreigners, including Satan's people. Our brothers, and patriotism is a vice unknown. But the law of his religion, a Christian must labor forever, breaking down of all walls that interrupt the fusion of the race into a common brotherhood. And one of the most formidable of these is patriotism. It marches with every frontier in the world. For those of us sitting in the pews on the left side of the Christian church, we oppose forcing the Christian faith, especially as interpreted with a conservative agenda, on our children who come from different faith backgrounds or no faith background at all. God gave us free will to choose, accept, or deny. God does not sit in a box, but reaches into the hearts of humans who constantly search for spiritual connection, or lead themselves into prayer during desperate times. Let God do God's work, while the rest of us serve as Christ's body to love all God's children, not to make them in our image, but to love them because they are God's image. Blessings from the pew on the left side of the aisle.